With your CIGTV News Update, I'm April Cummings in for Donna Bush. CIGTV sits down with Financial Services Minister the Honorable Tara Rivers to discuss her recent trip to Brussels and to promote the Cayman Islands as a jurisdiction. Minister Rivers traveled to Belgium last month to discuss Cayman's position with EU officials. She explains how the Ministry of Financial Services has been advancing the discussion surrounding the European Union's assessment of jurisdictions' tax regimes with key audiences.
So since the beginning of this year, the Ministry of Financial Services, the staff, has really been working very closely with trying to meet with members of the European Union as well as the broader OECD on working through these issues that were outstanding. We've also been working very closely from the beginning of this process and continuing certainly during the course of this year with the financial services industry representatives. All of the industry associations have had the opportunity to have representatives be a part of the various working groups and subcommittee groups that we've set up along the lines of the scoping paper, which was issued by the European Union in June of this year, that really outlined their concerns as it relates to what is commonly known as the 2.2 jurisdictions, of which Cayman is considered a part of that bucket.
The minister also discussed a key point in the dialogue.
And the concerns really center around this issue of sufficient or adequate economic substance in the jurisdiction. And so working through the scoping paper, working very closely with industry, we are now at the stage of looking at what does that mean, the idea of determining adequate substance for relevant businesses. And so we are working very closely with the ministry, the private sector, industry associations having input to inform the process, as well as working across the other government departments and ministries that have a nexus or would have an impact on how the legislative proposals and changes that will ultimately be agreed and put in place, how the actual implementation will work thereafter.
As the progress advances, the minister is committed to updating key private sector stakeholders as well as other agencies.
It's been a very comprehensive process, working with all of the kind of key stakeholders, as I said, since the beginning of this year. Certainly, I just recently had a meeting with the Financial Services Industry Association representatives on Tuesday of this week, on the 2nd of October, and gave them a similar update about the most recent trip to Brussels, but also the update more generally about the work to be done and the fact that we're now in the stage of kind of finalizing the legislation for industry consultation. And then once we've got the feedback from industry on the legislative proposals, then we will take it out to wider public consultation after having done any necessary revisions to the draft as produced. Of course, my colleagues in the government are being kept informed every step of the way as well, and the necessary approvals are being sought and given to continue this process and continue the dialogue with the EU on these matters.
CIGTV will air the remainder of Minister Rivers' interview focusing on the Cayman Islands activities at the Monaco Yacht Show and government's vision for growing the shipping registry on our daily news updates for the rest of this week. The Customs Department and Immigration Departments Friday celebrated the achievements of a joint class of 15 recruits. This final class is the last before Customs merges with Immigration Department's Enforcement Division in January to become Customs and Border Control. The 15 graduates were selected from some 400 applicants following extensive testing, interviewing, and background checks, including Interpol checks. 18 weeks of rigorous training followed in various disciplines. The group scored an impressive class average of 86%. Current Minister the Honorable Roy McTaggart has some high praise for the achievements of the Customs Department and Collector Charles Clifford, who will also be heading up the new agency.
You see, the Customs Department remains a very large revenue center for government, and I'm sure you've heard that several times since you started your courses of training as well. Over the last two years, we saw that the department exceed its revenue projections by $12 million in 2017 and $10 million in 2016. And this in itself is a very remarkable achievement, but it is even more so More remarkable when you consider that this feat was accomplished by the collective efforts of a staff complement of some 150 people, including the support staff, the members of which are spread between various collection points and offices, such as the airport and the Maine's Customs Collections Office. This achievement also exhibits the tangible and demonstrable synergy between the performance of this department and the objectives of its collector, Mr. Clifford, which continue to correlate under his involved leadership.
The acting governor addressed the new officers as well, spurring them to develop and achieve their own career goals. Mr. Manderson encouraged them to be personally accountable for their performance.
Our purpose in the civil service is to make the lives of those we serve better. There's very few civil servants that has that opportunity more often than yourselves. Every day that you go to work, you are going to have this really special opportunity to make someone's life better. People are going to come off the plane, they're going to be tired, they're going to be upset, they're not going to be feeling well, they're going to be playing with anticipation to get to the beach. How they leave that airport is going to be as a result of you.
Monday marked the successful recruits' first day on the job as full-fledged customs and immigration officers. A panel discussion relating to the Older Persons Month theme, respecting the wisdom and value of older persons, took place in front of a live audience Monday. Representing a cross-section of the Cayman Islands senior community, the panelists were Older Persons Month ambassadors Alex Johnson and Pastor Marquis McLaughlin, former Director of Social Services Deanna Lookloy, Chairperson of the Cayman Islands Council of Older Persons Lucille Seymour, retired hospital administrator Shirlene Enriquez, and former seaman Crosby Walton and Caswell Powery. Talk Today host Sterling Dwayne Ebanks moderated the discussion, which Radio Cayman broadcast live from the Georgetown Town Hall. As an opening question, panelists were asked how older persons could continue to play a role in society. Ambassador Alex Johnson felt they still have a lot to offer.
I've always been an advocate of older people, and I feel that if they got the chance to do in the community the things that they're paying younger people to do, we would see a lot more today, because you'd get more discipline. There's more discipline in the older people towards the younger people. More love is shown towards younger people from the older people. I experience it all the time when I go around. And I'm not an older person. I don't feel like I'm old. So
well, I'm glad you said that, because
I don't feel that way. I feel that as long as I'm able and God gives me the strength, I need to be out there with them. And going out to them, walking around with them, picking them up, taking them to the doctors, going to pick up their medication, doing all those things for them, it makes me feel that even though I know that I'm younger than them, it makes me feel that they can come in and be on my level.
Panelist Shirlene Enriquez pointed to mentoring as an important contribution that older persons can still make to the workplace.
Don't get me wrong, it's not every older person that should be employed, because some of them needed to leave the job. There are also younger people who are in positions that they don't have a clue. If they had individuals who are older with them to mentor them, you would get a better product in that individual. And that might be a short-term arrangement. So there are roles, a bigger role to be played by older persons if we look at expanding the work age.
Former senior civil servant Deanna Lookloy pointed out that some older persons are still very active, and there are a number of areas in which society can still use their skills.
You know, I didn't mind retiring at 60. The only thing is I have plenty of jobs. Plenty more than I had then even, but not as long hours. You know, when we travel abroad, all of us go to Miami to shop. Who do you see in those stores? Packing away the shoes when you finish trying them on, putting away the clothes when you've tried them on, and so forth. I only see people doing that who are like in their probably 80s, late 70s, 80s. So there are little things that they can do. In Europe, you see them everywhere, doing some of everything. It is only in the Caribbean that we have this myth about age, and this ageism that comes on at 60. People can do many, many things. As a matter of fact, as we retire at age 60, they find every board in the government to put us on because they feel we have some expertise, and we even get some invitations from the private sector. And you know, that's a good thing for the elderly because it keeps your brain active. I don't know medicine, I don't know much about Alzheimer's and all those things. I don't know whether they're diseases or they're caused from age or what. But I believe the more active you are, the more useful you can be to your society, and the more you can contribute.
The Older Persons Month panel will be broadcast on CIGTV later this month. To get more information about activities planned throughout October, visit the Department of Children and Family Services Facebook page. Thank you for joining us for this CIGTV update. Remember, you can always catch us online on our Facebook and YouTube pages. I'm April Cummings, in for Donna Bush.